Good morning, everybody. This is Arwen Lewis. You're listening to the Arwen Lewis Radio Show. My very special guest today is John DeNicola. He is an Academy Award winning and Golden Globe winning, Grammy nominated songwriter, a producer, a record label head for Omad Records, which is a boutique label out of New York City. And his songs Time of My Life and Hungry Eyes were featured, of course, in the movie Dirty Dancing. And we brought you back in to break with John DeNicola's recording of Hungry Eyes on his record, The Why Because. And also on that record is a beautiful ethereal version of Time of My Life. And John, let's tell everybody you co-wrote that song, correct? Who are your co-writers on that?
Right, that was with Frankie Previtt, who was from Frankie and the Knockouts, and my friend Donald Markowitz. So the three of us, Donnie and I, kind of eked out the music and sent it to Frankie, and it was all in a whirlwind because they needed the song right away. And as I stated earlier, it wasn't like we had the gig; we were competing with every other writer on the planet, so we got lucky.
And it sounds like that whole film and soundtrack was complete synchronicity. And you can get that record, The Why Because, as well as John's record, She Said, on Omad Records. And John, I thought we could talk about Omad a little bit. Omad Records is your boutique label in New York City. It's the home to my records, and John produced my first record, Arwen, which is a collection of Moby Grape songs with me singing lead and some of the best musicians in the world on there, including John. And then he's released records for himself, for my dad, Peter Lewis, his son, Jake DeNicola, has a band Forever that are on that record label, Rust Dust and The Size. And so it's quite an array of artists with very different musical styles. Was that your goal with Omad, or why did you find Omad and start the label?
Well, I guess I started, like you mentioned earlier, it was a production company, and we started with Carrots Flowers, who went on to become Maroon 5. We recorded that, and we put we were going to put that out on. We had our production company was through another Caroline distribution. But then that dissolved, and I kind of split up with my production partner, and just started putting, you know, the success of Dirty Dancing and songwriting and all that allowed me to, look for artists. Like I guess the Size were one of the first bands that we recorded, and it really just were situations that arose that, um, when I put on my production hat, I wanted an outlet for these great artists, and that's kind of how it just unfolded. It just unfolded on its own. I can't even think of the chronology of everything. We we did we did your record, Arwen Lewis, Arwen, the cover of the Moby Grape, and then we did Peter's first record, Peter Lewis. Um, uh,
I think you came out with I think Forever was after me too, right?
Fovea. It's
Oh, Phobia. Oh my
Fovea.
gosh,
Fovea.
sorry.
It's okay. I can't remember chronologies. I guess Fovea, yeah, would have been after you. Trying to think. I'm looking at the list here. Were you no, you couldn't have been the first artist on OMAD. No. Well, I don't remember. Maybe just OMAD with me, just me alone. I think all the other records that were put out, including The Size, were OMAD through another label.
Okay.
So purely OMAD. Harlan Lewis, the first record. I don't remember, but working with your dad, of course, as a 12-year-old, I bought one
Yeah.
of my mom took me to buy. My cousin had what they call a one stop, which supplies records to the area, to the tri-state area in New York. And I was 12 years old. My mom said, "Go in and pick out 3 records. I think they were $1.99 at the time. And I picked out Mr. Fantasy by Traffic. Are You Experienced? Jimi Hendrix, and Moby Grape. And that just kind of cemented my love of music. I mean, music in 1967, 68 was just awesome. I mean, it was just the labels didn't even know what they had yet. It was like it was just a blooming scene. And particularly in San Francisco. After the Beatles, the Americans had, what did they have? They had San Francisco, so yeah. Moby Grape, Grateful Dead, Big Brother and the Holding Company. So that whole thing really influenced me a lot. So to work with Peter was just great. I mean, such a great writer, such a great lyricist. And then on the second record we did together, and I don't think Peter did a lot of co-writing, but we did. We co-wrote 5 songs together on his record Imagination. Mm-hmm. And that was really kind of a wonderful sort of I don't know what you call that. It was just my initial foray into music was so influenced by Moby Grape, and then to come around this many years later and sort of work with Peter in that regard, it was it's just an honor, because Peter is such a musician, such a lyricist.
Well, I was just going to say too, like, it sounds like, after talking about all your projects that were, and the ones that we're featuring today, and everybody you've worked with, it feels like you've kind of come full circle. And so I can't wait to see where your music goes next. Sadly, we're out of time, so we don't get to tell everybody else about the rest of the career of John DeNicola, but you'll just have to keep watching him on Instagram at John DeNicola Music. Look him up on omadrecords.com and also at john-denicola.com. John, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And everybody, we're going to play in its entirety John DeNicola's She Said from his album She Said. That's the title track. And again, thank you so much, John, and everybody have a good day.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, we're clear.
We're good? Okay.
All right.
Good job.
Yeah, me too.
Great. Oh man.
So we'll have this podcast. Will we have it today, or do we need to wait for Jeremiah?
No. Well, the video, which I've got to stop,